Tonight, all across the world, millions of animals will do something that should never have survived evolution. They will lie down beside a creature many times their size, a different species, a predator by every ancient definition. And then, willingly, they will close their eyes and surrender to the most defenseless state any living thing can enter: sleep. In the wild, sleep is when everything can go wrong. It is when the senses fall quiet, when reaction time collapses, when a single mistake becomes the last one. Every instinct carved over millions of years should be whispering the same command: stay alert, stay hidden, stay ready to run. And yet, your dog seeks you out to do the exact opposite. It doesn't retreat to a corner, it doesn't hide, it comes closer. It presses against your leg, exhales in a long, slow sigh, and drops into sleep as though you were the safest place in the entire world. Why? Because hidden inside this ordinary nightly gesture is one of the most revealing questions in all of animal science, and the answer reaches far deeper than affection, down into evolution, into chemistry, into the strange and ancient bond between two species that were never meant to trust each other at all. To understand why a dog chooses to sleep at your side, we have to travel backward, tens of thousands of years, to a time long before couches and beds, before leashes and names, to the animal your dog used to be: the wolf. Wolves do not sleep alone. They sleep in a tangle of bodies, curled together against the cold, flank pressed to flank, pups buried in the middle where it is warmest and safest. For a wolf, sleeping beside the pack is not sentimental, it is survival. Shared warmth conserves energy through brutal nights.
Shared numbers means shared vigilance. While some rest, the group endures. To sleep alone, out in the open, was to gamble with your life. So the instinct to sleep close to others is not something dogs invented for us. It is something they carried into our homes from the deep past. The pile of warm bodies simply changed shape. Where there was once a pack, now there is you. But here is where the story takes its first strange turn. Because a dog is not a wolf. Somewhere along the way, this animal did something no other predator on Earth has ever fully done. It didn't just tolerate humans, it bonded to us. And if you're finding this as fascinating as I do, this hidden world unfolding behind a behavior we've all seen 1,000 times, this is exactly the kind of mystery this channel exists to chase. Stay with me, because we're only beginning to scratch the surface of what your dog is really doing when it lies down beside you. The transformation from wolf to dog is one of the great unsolved puzzles of science. We still argue about when it happened, and where, and even how, but we know roughly what it produced. Over thousands of generations, an animal emerged that was drawn to us, that read our faces, followed our gestures, and, most remarkably of all, looked to us for comfort. And this is where the science becomes genuinely astonishing. In a series of studies, researchers adapted a famous psychology experiment, one originally designed to measure the bond between human infants and their mothers. They placed dogs in an unfamiliar room, then watched what happened when the owner left.
And the moment the owner returned, they calmed, using that person as a base of safety before daring to explore again. The pattern was almost identical to the one seen in human children. Let that settle for a moment. The animal sleeping at your feet may relate to you through some of the same emotional machinery a small child uses to bond with a parent. Not a metaphor, a measurable, observable attachment, which begins to explain the sleeping. Because sleep, for a creature wired this way, isn't just rest. It's the ultimate act of trust. An animal only sleeps deeply where it feels protected, and for your dog, that place of protection is not a den, not a corner, not a warm patch of floor. It's you. And if you've ever watched your dog resist sleep, fighting to stay awake until you finally settle down for the night, refusing to fully relax until you're in the room, you may have witnessed this instinct in real time. It waits for its safe place to arrive before it lets go. Some owners notice their dog choosing to sleep touching them, a paw draped over an arm, a spine curled into the small of a back, as if physical contact itself were the point. And in a sense, it may be. That contact is not random.
It is the animal keeping one thread of connection to its anchor, even as consciousness fades. But warmth and safety alone can't be the whole story. And when scientists looked closer at what happens inside the dog's body when it's near us, they found something that changes the entire picture. Chemistry. In one landmark study, researchers measured a hormone called oxytocin, sometimes nicknamed the bonding hormone, the same molecule that floods through a new mother when she holds her baby.
They found that when dogs and their owners simply looked into each other's eyes, oxytocin rose, not only in the human, in the dog as well. And the more it rose in one, the more it rose in the other, a loop feeding back and forth between two different species. This is extraordinary. That same chemical current appears to flow through physical closeness too, through contact, through touch, through the quiet pressure of a body settling against yours in the dark. When your dog sleeps beside you, it may be riding a gentle chemical tide that both of you are generating together. And here is the part that stops me every time. That oxytocin loop is, as far as we know, something that evolved to bond parents and infants. Somehow, across the vast distance between our species, dogs slipped into it. They found a doorway into a system built for our own children and walked straight through. But if attachment and chemistry pull dogs toward us, there's still a question hiding underneath. How does a dog even know it's us? In the dark, half asleep, what tells it that this particular warm shape is the one worth trusting? The answer lives in a sense we can barely imagine. Smell. A dog's world is built of scent the way ours is built of sight, and researchers wanted to know what a familiar human scent actually does inside a dog's brain. So they did something remarkable. They trained dogs to lie perfectly still, fully awake, inside a brain scanner, and then presented them with different smells, strangers, other dogs, and their own owner. When the owner's scent arrived, a specific region lit up, a part of the brain tied to reward and positive expectation, the same kind of region that, in us, responds to the things and people we love.
Of all the scents tested, it was the familiar humans that sparked that flicker of anticipation most strongly. Think about what that means for sleep. Long after the lights go out, long after your dog's eyes have closed, your scent is still there, wrapped around it like a blanket it can't see but can absolutely feel. To a dog, your smell may be one of the most reassuring signals in existence, a constant, silent message. You are safe, you are home, you are not alone. And the synchronization runs even deeper than a single night. In another study, scientists measured stress hormones in dogs and their owners, not moment to moment, but over long stretches of time, using traces stored in hair. What they found was that a dog's long-term stress levels tended to mirror its owners. When the human was calm, the dog tended toward calm. When the human carried chronic stress, the dog often carried it too. The two nervous systems, over months and years,
Something is unfolding behind those closed eyes. Some researchers have wondered, cautiously, carefully, whether dogs replay their days as they sleep, the way some other animals appear to. And if they do, it's almost impossible not to ask the question that follows. Do they dream of us? I want to be honest with you here, because this is where certainty ends. We don't know. It is a hypothesis wearing the costume of a fact, and it would be dishonest to dress it up as more. The inner experience of a sleeping dog remains, for now, a closed door. But everything we've uncovered points in a single remarkable direction. When your dog chooses to sleep beside you, it is very likely drawing on the oldest survival instincts of the wolf, an attachment system that echoes a child's bond with a parent, a rush of the very chemistry that binds mothers to infants, the deep reassurance of your scent, and a nervous system quietly tuned to your own. All of it folded in one small, easy-to-overlook act. And maybe that's the most moving part, that this creature, descended from an animal that once had every reason to fear us, now considers us the single safest place in its world, safe enough to lower every defense, safe enough to become completely vulnerable, safe enough to sleep. Personally, I find it hard to look at a sleeping dog the same way after learning all this.
What seemed like simple habit turns out to be a bridge thrown across tens of thousands of years between two species that, against every odd, learned to rest side by side. But this raises a question we've barely touched. If a dog can trust us this deeply while asleep, what is it doing while it's awake? Reading us? Watching us? Tracking our moods from across a room?
Because there is growing evidence that dogs don't just bond with us, they may be studying us. And what they seem to understand about the humans they live with is stranger and more unsettling than almost anyone expected.